Good evening. Good evening. I hadn't realized we started. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back on how do you say on live video after a long time in that way. And I guess I wanted to discuss tonight. I guess I want to discuss the topic again of Mr. Trump. And I used I used the title tonight. I used Trump cult. I don't know if you're like me or whatever. Do you sit down and reflect not all day, but sometimes do you reflect in the back of your head? How is it? How is it that someone like Trump has managed to become so popular for so many years? He has managed to retain the attention of a great portion. Let's put it. Let's see the way we see the statistics. He's managed to maintain I would say about half of the American population in that way. So I'm just I guess in the beginning I was surprised. I was shocked. I mean, the first time he got elected as president, I mean, I, I thought it was a surreal movie. I thought it was some type of something from what's that program I'm trying to think of, the Twilight Zone or something in that way. And still I'm still amazed. I'm still even amazed even more today. I mean, despite all the accusations, despite all the indictments that he's had, this has done nothing. This has done nothing to diminish his popularity. Let's be honest about it. And you could say he's even more popular than before, especially with this recent incident of the shooting. Wow, my God, he's become the hero, the victim now. He's become the victim of the establishment, the victim of the left in that way. But still, let's reflect for a moment and let's see if we can try to understand why Trump remains popular despite all the accusations. And I mean, you know, I'm going to begin with something that Eric Fromm said. Eric Fromm was a psychoanalyst, and he wrote an excellent book. He wrote a very excellent book, which was called "Escape from Freedom." And he, I think, explains to a certain extent what we're seeing in Trump, what we're seeing or whatever, on a certain level. I mean, what Fromm spoke about in Escape from Freedom, a part of the book, was that he spoke that many people do not want to accept the responsibility of their own individual freedom. So, in refusing to accept their own individual freedom, they pass, I don't know if that's the word, they pass or, yeah, they pass on this freedom, they give up this freedom, they surrender. I think the better word would be surrender. They surrender this freedom to some figure, to some grandiose figure, to some idealized figure that's out there. And this is a part of, I think, this is a part of, because in my mind, I don't know, in my mind, you know, I don't know, it might sound strange to you what I'm going to say or whatever, but Trump, in a sense, he's become like a god. He's become like a god. He can do no wrong. And that's why I called it a cult. Your cult, you've got worshipers. And here, you've got millions of Trump worshipers, despite the fact of what he does, despite the reality of who he is. Millions of people are still believing him and are ready to bow down. And I will go even further. If we go back to the January the 6th insurrection, there are people who are ready to take up arms for him. This is the extent of his power. Do not kid yourself. Do not fool yourself and be naive. Trump has a lot of power in American society, in different sectors of the American society. So, like I was saying, or whatever. So when the person surrenders their freedom, they want someone to take over this freedom for them. They want someone to come to become their God, to become their leader, to become or whatever. And they choose this. Usually people in their choosing are very blind, if I use it. Blind in many ways, they're blind. They don't see reality. They don't see. And what it is too is that these millions of Trump worshipers, I call them worshipers, they're working on not an intellectual basis. They're working on an emotional basis. They're responding to Trump on a gut level, on a gut emotional level to what he's saying. They like what he's saying. This is the fact. When he bashed the Mexicans, okay? Millions of people, and this is the scary thought. The scary thought is this, that millions of people said, yes, this man is right. Mexicans are criminals. They're drug addicts or whatever, rapists or whatever. And that's the scary part of it. That's the scary part of the American mindset. I'm not saying all the American mindset or whatever. All American people, I'm not saying. But that is a very scary part of the American mindset when you look at this. And this was always there. Some people say, oh, it's Trump that created. No, he didn't create that mindset. Trump didn't create this racist, authoritarian mindset. He did not create that. He just exploited that mindset. He made that mindset more visible. Whereas, how do I put this or whatever? Whereas these extreme, they're not all right-wing extremists. I wouldn't say the Trump supporters. It would be unfair to say that in that way. But they were holding back their opinions. They were holding back, a lot of the Trump supporters. And now they feel entitled. They feel entitled to come out and to speak what's inside. So Trump is providing them with a catharsis. A catharsis in the sense that now they can release all their emotions inside that have built up through the years of democratic leadership in that way, and this is it, and people, let's look at history. Really, let's look at history. People gravitate to these authoritarian figures. Do I need to bring examples? Do I need to bring the name of Hitler in that sense or whatever? How many followers he had or whatever in that sense? And I'm not going to go into the comparisons with Trump and Hitler. It's not something here to be done at this moment or whatever, But this is it. His appeal too is that authoritarianism, is that take no bullshit attitude or whatever. I'm going to stomp on you. This is the attitude that his followers like. They like that authoritarianism. And they like, I think there's, let's say it out loud over here, let's say it, that macho masculinity there, he's a virile man, He's a virile macho man, and that appeals. That still appeals to people, even though we talk about liberated times, woman's lib, and okay, macho still appeals to people in that way. So he plays on that. He plays on that. And he's an expert manipulator. Never think that Trump is stupid. A lot of people, when they look at him, they say he's a silly, stupid man. No, that is the biggest mistake that you can make or whatever. This is a man who does possess intelligence. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you of the intelligence of a philosopher here or whatever in that sense, but he possesses gritty, everyday intelligence. He's a street hustler. I see him, I tell you the truth, I see Trump as a street hustler. This is the way that I see him. So I'm just asking you to reflect. And I think it's important. I think it's very important to reflect. Because this affects not only the USA, this affects a lot of countries in the world. It's affecting many countries in the world where these how do I call them or whatever, these authoritarian figures are coming into dominance, and they're taking power. So let us take the time, like I said, to reflect, because this is very serious. It's a very serious time, and it's a very scary time, because we don't know where we're heading, in what direction we're heading in that way. I mean, in the final analysis, maybe a few words or whatever in that sense. To me, Trump is like, he's not a real person. How do I describe this to you? I have an idea in my mind. Of course, he's a person. He's a physical person, but he's not a real person. He's a surreal person, like a caricature. One of these characters that you see in a movie, okay, whatever, I don't know. Yeah, that you see made up in the movies or something like that, whatever. Anyways, let's leave it at that. Thank you for your time.